For this project, we need fabric for the dress, thread, scissors, pins, measuring tape, elastic, feathers, fabric for the gloves, and straps. I chose a purple semi-sheer fabric, picot elastic, adjustable straps, shiny pink fabric for the gloves, and a pink feather boa. I'm going to start by folding the fabric in half. Second, you need to take your large hip measurement. You're going to take that measurement and divide it by pi, and then with your measuring tape from the corner of the fabric, you're going to mark with your pins that measurement. Then we're going to measure the length of the dress from the under boob to where you'd like the dress to fall. Measuring from the pins we just placed, we're going to place pins for the length of our dress. Then we're going to cut where we place both lines of our pins. You will now have a semicircle. Folding it back together, we're going to sew our side seam. For this stitch, I did a French seam, but you can do a regular seam as well. We're now going to hem the bottom of our dress. We're going to do this by folding it over twice and ironing. And now we're going to stitch along where we just ironed. With the bottom all hemmed, we're now ready to move to the top of the dress. We're going to measure our underbust and cut our picot elastic to that length. Because of the stretch of the elastic, we can cut it a little shorter so it gives some hug to the dress. Now, taking the top of the dress, we're going to place our picot elastic with the detail facing down on the right side or outside of the dress. As you can see here, we're going to sew it along that edge and then fold it over and sew it a second time. The elastic is going to be shorter than the circumference at the top of the dress, so we're going to pull it slightly as we sew. We're going to switch our machine to the zigzag stitch and start sewing along the elastic, again giving a little tug as we sew. And here at the very end, I make sure that the elastic overlaps itself. We're now going to trim away any of the fabric that might be poking through on the other side. Once that's all trimmed, we're going to fold the fabric over again and do our second stitch. Again, using a zigzag stitch and pulling slightly as we sew. We now have the bodice of the dress finished. For the bra part of the dress, we're going to take the corner of the fabric and just drape it along to what fits. Here I gathered it a little bit and pinned where I'd liked and cut away the excess. You can do this on yourself as well. This is the pattern piece that I was left over with, and I cut 2 of these out. Now with the same technique that I did for the underbust, I'm going to add my picot elastic. So placing it on the right side of the fabric with the detail down, I'm going to do a zigzag stitch. Give it a slight tug so there'd be a little bit of hug in the bra piece. I'm then going to do the same as before and fold it over and do my second zigzag stitch. I'm going to do this for the other side of the triangle as well. And then again to the second bra piece. You can leave the elastic length if you don't have straps, and you can use that as your strap, or you can attach the adjustable straps if you have those as well. I just attach the straps with a zigzag stitch. To finish off the bottom of the bra pieces, I'm going to add another strip of elastic. Here you can use a plain elastic or the same picot that you've already been using. Again, giving a little tug as I sew, I'm going to sew a zigzag stitch just on the bottom. I'm now ready to attach the bra pieces to the bodice of the dress. Here it helps to try it on while you pin it so you know where it's going to fit. And once you've pinned both of your pieces, you're ready to zigzag stitch them to the dress. And then you can attach the back elastics as well with a zigzag stitch. We're now ready to attach the feathers. I pinned first to determine the length. I used a hand stitch. Feathers are very forgiving to sew, so you don't have to be too careful when you're sewing them. We're now ready to attach the feathers onto the bra, so I did this by just pinning them around in a circle. And then again, using my handheld needle, I hand stitched them onto the dress. Now moving on to the gloves. Placing our hand on the edge of a piece of paper, we're going to trace out our 4 fingers, making a straight line from our pinky to the bottom of the paper. And then we're going to cut this out. On a new piece of paper, we're going to place our thumb and trace around in this type of shape. Fold the paper in half and cut out a mirrored image of what we just drew. Now, taking our thumb piece, we're going to place it in a cone position and trace around where it can be attached to the glove. And then we're going to create 3 rectangle pieces that are going to go in between our fingers. And this is what our pattern is going to look like. So we're now ready to place our glove piece on the fold, pin it onto the fabric, and cut it out. I wasn't sure on the length of the glove that I wanted, so I left a lot of extra fabric at the bottom. And then on one side of the glove, we're going to cut a little hole for the thumb. Remember that when we make our second glove, we're going to cut the hole on the other side. Now we're going to cut our thumb piece as well. I cut this piece on the bias. And after cutting our 3 rectangle pieces, we should have all the pieces to our glove. Taking the rectangle piece, we're going to place it right sides together and sew in between the fingers. At the bottom of the finger, we're going to lift up our presser foot and pivot the needle. Here's what it should look like, and then we're going to do the same for the other fingers. Now with all 3 of those pieces connected, we're ready to attach the side of our gloves. We're going to sew down from our pinky all the way the length of the glove. And now we're ready to attach the little bit of the pointer finger. And with our pointer finger attached, we can now attach the rectangle pieces to the other side of the glove. Moving on to the thumb, we're going to sew along, leaving the bottom part open. Trim away the excess on the glove as well as on the thumb piece. Flip the thumb piece inside out, and we're going to place it inside the glove. Make sure the thumb piece is facing up when you slide it inside the glove, and then we're going to sew along the circle there. You're ready now to flip the glove right side out. And you're all done.